Join me every month for the inspiration to find your finish line. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Find Your Finish Line. I'm Mike Riley, and it's not only about being able to find your finish line at an event or a race, but also in life. Every day we have to find our finish lines. We've got a very special show today because I've got two guests on, not just one. And the reason I do is because they both are challenging. They're going to go through a challenge together as a team. That is one of the toughest mountain bike challenges in the world today. That's Cape Epic 8-day mountain bike race to South Africa. The race actually is March 15th to the 22nd, covers 700K, 400 miles. That's for us U.S. people, 16,000 meters of climbing in one of the roughest terrains in the world. And the race has been going on since 1984. So I've got Ben Hoffman. Hello, Ben, 8-time Ironman champion, second overall in Kona in 2014, plus a 2-time winner at Ironman South Africa. He loves going down there. And I'll never forget calling you in. I always remember it's like Wisconsin, Coeur d'Alene, St. George, and Lake Placid. Ben, the father of 2 beautiful kids who are growing like weeds, by the way, buddy. And his wife, Kelsey, who I met before he did. We don't have to go into that. And Dr. Tommy Martin. Tommy, welcome to Find Your Finish Line. Tommy is a internal medicine and pediatric physician at Boston's Chosin Hospital. And throughout his career, he's been an advocate of stopping medical misinformation through his social media channels. You got to follow him. Tommy knows what the heck he's talking about. He's a family man, and he strives to balance his family, his work, his passions, sport, to be the best example of a dad he can be. Hello, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Doing really good, man. Thanks for having us on. I'm excited to be here and chat with you again.
And Tommy, I know you're traveling, so thanks for being with us, and we'll go right away into it. So, Ben, let me start with you. Was it always on your bucket list to go back to Cape Epic? I think you were there with Sebastian in 2018. Probably wasn't the best experience of your life, but when you stopped racing Ironman, did you always want to go back to Cape Epic with someone on a team?
It's funny. I mean, I would say probably no. I wouldn't say that it was something that I thought I was going to do again. I had such, sort of bad memories in a way from the first time around. And not because the event itself is not special. It really is. But we just had, we were incredibly sick during the race. We got so depleted, and it really just kicked our butts so bad that I left with a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and I just didn't think I'd probably ever go back. But, they say time heals all wounds, and we had this amazing opportunity to come back again with IRONMAN Foundation. And, obviously having a partner like Tommy got me fired up, and we're doing something really special here. The primary goal, of course, is to raise money, for some charitable causes, some kids on bikes in Africa, and then also for swim lessons as well. So, yeah, I would say those things were motivating enough for me to reconsider. And, I love a good challenge. So here we are going back 8 years later.
So Tommy, How did this guy talk you into this? Or did he just call and you said, yeah, that'd be cool?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So Audra through the IRONMAN Foundation, she had a hold of me actually through Instagram at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships in New Zealand. And she said, I would love to talk to you. I have a good opportunity. Think you'd be interested in it. And so I met up with Audra, and she said, so would you want to do a race with Ben Hoffman? And I was like, wait, the legend Ben Hoffman? Or like, yeah, sign me up. Like, I want to do it. I'm ready. Let's do it. And she said, well, it is a mountain bike race. I said, well, I've never ridden a mountain bike, but like, I'm willing to learn. Let's do it. And she said, it is one of the hardest races in the world. I was like, how long do I have? And she said, about 8 months. And I said, let's do it. And so that's how I got here.
Well, Audra, as you know, she's near and dear to all of us. And I'm glad she set it up a little bit for you, Tommy, and told you how hard it was. But I know you're always one for a challenge. Now, you both have gotten together with training. Tommy, you're just leaving Tucson, and you and Ben have been out there on the mountain bike. You say you never rode a mountain bike before, but done a race like that before. Did you go out and buy a new bike and just start riding around Boston on it?
So the day after the Boston Marathon, I qualified for the Boston Marathon, and I ran the Boston Marathon. The day after, I got on the mountain bike and started training. And I just got a brand new mountain bike, and I had never had any lessons. I went to a course close to my house, and that first day I crashed 5 times.
Oh my gosh.
But I've been training really hard over this time to be ready for Cape Epic.
Well, you're an athlete, and you just, as Ben knows, it's just about staying upright on the thing. So, and Ben, you've been around a lot of obviously incredible athletes through your career, both pro and age grouper. Why'd you want to be able to bring an age grouper into it? I know pros is a division there, and you're doing this with the Ironman Foundation, but do you see something in Tommy where you say, you know what, I think this dude can get through these 8 days just fine?
I mean, I think you kind of already touched on it. And yeah, I feel like, well, just to rewind a little bit, one of the coolest things about our sport, right, about Ironman is that we all kind of compete on the same course on the same day, professional or amateur. And I always think that that's one of the greatest things about our particular sport. But yeah, as far as, Tommy as a partner, I think you kind of already nailed it when you said he loves a good challenge. And I have to say, I've gotten to know Tommy over these last few months, especially just recently when he, visited us in Tucson, did this training and stayed, with our family at my home. And the guy is just incredible, man. I mean, he's relentlessly positive. He really will not give up. And I think it kind of reaffirmed, my choice and our choice to do this together, because I know no matter what happens out there, he's going to get the job done. And I can't believe how far he's come in the 8 months, having no background with mountain biking. I've been riding mountain bikes since I was a young kid, since I was in middle school. And, I grew up in Western Colorado, and it was just part of my daily life. And I've continued to do it. I've done some Xterra triathlon. I've, always just kept my mountain bike in the garage and ridden it, pretty consistently throughout the years. So I have that background, but Tommy really doesn't. And I have to say, after the 3-day mini camp that we just had here, my confidence is pretty high, actually. I think we're gonna have a really good race. And like I said, no matter what happens, even if we have some setbacks, which we probably will, I know he has the gumption and the ability to get through anything. So I'm fired up to get out there and see what we can do.
Yeah, and when it comes to a team aspect, as you both know, when you're working with someone that you feel a great connection with, you can get through things maybe a little better than you could by yourself. Do you feel that with having Ben as your partner out there, Tommy? Say, you know what? We know we're going to hit some challenges. It's just the way it is. It's 8 days. It's not a one-day event. And do you feel that you've got the confidence in both of you and in Ben to be able to get you guys through?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the track record that Ben has in the sport is telling of itself. And, I've admired Ben for, the past decade of just watching him through triathlon and to see things that he's overcome, things that he's accomplished. And so I've always had this huge admiration for him. But then over the past 3 days of just seeing like little things that happen throughout our mini training camp and how he battles adversity and helps me through adversity was just so encouraging to know that I think that not only will we be able to get through Cape Epic, but do it with a smile as we endure a lot of suffering. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I was just thinking, and with Ben's, he's got this dry sense of humor. And a couple of times he said something to me, something at a race. Is he serious? Oh my God, he's fun. He's humorous. This is pretty funny. Because sometimes I can imagine he's like right behind you saying something and you're going, is he serious or is this a joke?
Well, I like to keep everyone guessing a little bit. So,
and it's got to be, Ben, with your experience of obviously racing so many years, you've got to keep it lighthearted, don't you? Even though you're busting your ass, you've got to keep it lighthearted.
Yeah, I think injecting a little bit of humor can lighten the mood a little bit, and I don't feel like I'll have to as much maybe as I normally would with Tommy, because like I said, he's got just this incredible energy, and I don't think I saw a moment when he wasn't smiling here, whether he was suffering out there. He crashed multiple times while he was here. I took him on some really tough technical trails. You could see he's got some scratches on his forearms there, and even when he crashed, the first thing he said was, I'm going to learn from this. This is an opportunity for me to learn. And I just think reframing that in that positive way is just indicative of his entire personality. And I think, the approach that he brings to everything. So, I probably won't have to joke quite as much, but I do think we're so serious most of the time. And obviously, you know, the training we're doing is serious. We're putting in the hours. But yeah, I think it's good to have, you know, to lighten the mood a little bit and remind ourselves that, you know, this isn't necessarily life and death, that we have the privilege of doing this and we're choosing to do it, and that we're doing it for a really good cause.
Good for you guys. Tommy, you know, you're a busy young man, you know, with your practice with Boston at the hospital, raising a beautiful son and working with him. And how did you figure out, you know, you always worked out, you've done 70.3s and running Boston, like you said, but were you able to, was this a little tougher balance of getting on this mountain bike every day and trying to get those workouts in?
You know, I don't think necessarily. I think the toughest part of it was just mountain biking is a completely different skill that I've never had. Like I've done Ironman, I've done half Ironman, I've done marathons, but mountain biking takes skill. It's not just go run, you know, down the road. It's you need to know the technique of mountain biking. So I did have to hire a mountain bike skills coach. And what's hard with that is that it takes patience to learn those skills to get good at mountain biking. So instead of just going out for a 5-hour ride, I had to do 90 minutes of a skill session, and just having that patience to learn the skill, I think was probably the hardest part. But in terms of like balancing family life, my job as a physician, it's all been the same, whether I be training for an Ironman or a marathon. And literally, there's no way I could do it without the support of my family, my wonderful wife, my kiddos. They're like 100% in on this with us and doing this for the good cause to get kids on bikes throughout South Africa. And my wife has had to take a backseat a little bit for her training to help me put in the hours needed for the mountain biking. But we do this as a team. And so as soon as I'm done with Cape Epic, we'll kind of transition to me helping support her with her goals. And so it takes a team, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Now, are they going with you, Tommy?
Oh, unfortunately not. I honestly think that's going to be the hardest part of Cape Epic. I'm going to miss them so much. But we have 2 kiddos now. We're foster parents for one really young child. And so we thought it'd be best if the whole family didn't go and I just go out and try to conquer this accomplishment for our family.
And Ben, I know Kelsey's going and she's racing. What about you? You keeping them home with grandma again or what?
You nailed it. You know, our original plan was to go back to South Africa, bring the kids, and have an amazing trip, you know, do the safari afterwards, let the kids see the animals. I mean, just that was the real vision when we first said yes to this. However, what ended up happening was Kelsey decided that she wanted to go back to graduate school. And so she's actually back in a graduate program right now at the University of Arizona. And that means that she's got a lot of schoolwork. You know, she's actually going to fortunately only miss 1 week because one of the weeks is spring break for her. But she is missing a full week of school. She's got a lot going on. And we really can't stay much more than a couple of days on the front end of the race and then pretty much leaving immediately afterwards. So yes, her mother is coming to town, taking care of the kids, and the safari trip will have to wait, sadly, for another time. But, you know, it'll be really fun to share the experience with her. She's been training really hard too, amidst all the other stuff she's got going on. And I'm excited for her. Her partner actually is named Kelsey as well. So it's the twin Kelseys out there ripping it up. And I think they're going to do really well.
I can't wait to follow. So, Ben, as you know, the course, it changes every year, doesn't it? I mean, yeah. It's not exactly the same. And I just had Paul Kay, our friend, on the podcast a few weeks ago. And Tommy, you meet Paul. Paul is the announcer for Cape Epic, and he announces a lot of the Ironman races, does Kona now. And he was telling me, Ben, that he thinks this year, and I don't know why he said it, but he says, this year might be the most challenging year. What is it, because the course is much different, or they added stuff to it? Why would he say that?
You know, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine it being more difficult than the year we did it. Like I said, that was mostly because we were just absolutely depleted and very sick with a GI bug. But yeah, I would imagine it's probably just because it's lengthy. I mean, there's a lot of long days with a ton of climbing on them, and probably, you know, less road sections maybe than in previous iterations. So a little bit more time on the dirt and in the single track as well, which makes things, you know, just slower in general and more challenging. But we've both reviewed the course. I mean, I feel like we have a decent understanding of what we're dealing with. And yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's no way around it. They call it the Untamed for a reason. And they certainly haven't dumbed this event down, you know, to make it easier or anything. And we just have to take it day by day. That's the way it is. It's like any major thing in life. You just kind of chip away at small goals, and then it builds up to something big. So, I think we've got what it takes to handle it. I put Tommy through the ringer a little bit. We did 2 6-hour rides when he was in town. I got him right off the plane actually on Sunday. He was here for about just 2.5 or 3 days total. And, that afternoon he arrived at 1. I think by 2:30 we were on the mountain bikes out on the trails for a couple of hours that afternoon. And the next day we did 6 hours, and the following day we did another 6 hours. So, he really showed me that he can back it up in those big days. And I think, we'll see what it's like once we're there. But I know there's no easy Cape Epic, so I won't be surprised if this is the hardest one ever.
So, Tommy, don't you just love Mount Lemon? Huh?
Oh, Mount Lemon was incredible. Some of the best views, some really chunky descents. It was so much fun. There's one video I posted of, I was following Ben on one of the descents, and it looks pretty sweet. It was a lot of fun.
It was. So in the training, obviously, weight training is so critical now to triathlon, even runners, the whole deal. Did you find yourself doing a little more weight training to get a little more upper body strength because of the pounding and the mountain bike action? Ben, is that even more critical?
I definitely think so. And the first time I did Cape Epic, I also bumped up, especially the upper body stuff. I mean, you think about it, and your arms actually on the handlebars are your first sort of form of suspension. I mean, you've obviously got a full suspension bike, but you really want to use your body as suspension too. And mountain biking is so different. You're pulling up on the handlebars. You're really balancing a lot of the time at slow speeds. And so it's much more physical, and it definitely, requires that extra resilience that weightlifting brings into the equation. I remember a couple of things. My triceps were absolutely screaming after about 4 or 5 days. Just having them out on that wide grip on the handlebars, just loading them up day after day. I couldn't believe how bad they hurt. And I remember the outside palm of my hand was also just absolutely destroyed. So I was telling Tommy to prepare for that mentally and to do what he could to kind of offset it. But as far as the weightlifting stuff goes, this guy is far and away stronger than me when it comes to the gym. He did threaten at one point after one of our 6-hour rides here to make me do a max deadlift. For me, that would be nowhere near the weight that he does. I did opt out of that. I thought that was a recipe for disaster and probably injury for me as a 42-year-old. But yeah, this guy's got some game in the weight room. So,
well, Tommy, you could have just challenged him to like burpees or push-ups or something. I could see if the old man could do it.
Heavy lifting is my jam. That's what I thoroughly enjoy. And so I wanted to put him through a little powerlifting meet after our 6-hour ride, but we opted out. Next time.
So Ben, so much can go wrong, obviously mechanical wise. Are there mechanics along the course, or do you have to take care of that yourself, or is it some of both?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. We were really fortunate the first year we did it. Actually, we only had one slow leak that we had to fix, and we did a really good job of doing it super quick. I mean, I think we were back moving again within 20 or 30 seconds. We were already preparing to plug and seal, plug the tire and reinflate it before we'd even come to a stop, and we had it all dialed between Sebastian and I. So we had really good mechanical luck the first year. Each day, we had mechanics that were part of the support team that would take our bikes apart and rebuild them and actually make sure they were totally clean all the bearings, take the bottom bracket apart. So it was pretty thorough. And that was all done through IRONMAN Foundation. They're actually providing that same kind of support again this year, where there'll be a mechanic for us each day after the race. They do have some mechanical roving support on course and at some of the aid stations, but by and large, you are responsible, just like you are in an Ironman, for kind of carrying your own stuff. And if you watch some of these videos online of previous Cape Epics, you'll see people running with their bike, broken wheels, broken chains. So, a lot of stuff can go wrong out there, and knock on wood, it doesn't happen to us. But I'd like to think I'm reasonably proficient at fixing most things, but, sometimes there's such a catastrophic failure that there's not a lot you can do. And hopefully, it won't happen to us, but yeah, we'll just go out there and do our best to manage it however it comes.
You only take one bike? Is that the deal, or can you take 2 bikes, or what?
I mean, in theory, yeah, you could definitely bring another bike. And I think some of the professional teams, the UCI pros, do bring multiple bikes, and for sure multiple wheels with different, tire setups. I mean, you can change tires overnight if it rains a bunch or something like that. But even though I still have a relationship with some of my sponsors and I'm still doing some racing, I don't have that luxury of bringing two bikes, and I don't think that Tommy's planning to either. So, hopefully we don't encounter that situation. But, I also feel like there's enough, kind of like in an Ironman, where there's enough people that are sort of on the periphery of the race, that even if something like that did happen, we could probably round up a bike or two if we really had to, if something disastrous happened. But yeah, knock on wood, we'll just bring one and only need one.
Good. So, Tommy, Dr. Tommy, let me go in a little bit on the medical side with you. Your son has a rare genetic disorder, causes developmental delays with his growth. And you said something, and I read it, and I thought it's so powerful. You said that a diagnosis doesn't define a child's potential. When you said that, you were talking obviously about your child, but you must see that every day, that the potential of a child isn't defined by what's going on in their life if it's not a good thing. True?
Yeah, so true. I mean, I see it every single day at my work, and I truly believe that Oliver has helped instill that in me, so that as I see my patients, as I see children with rare disorders or whatever diagnoses that they may have, that I could instill that hope in them and let them know that whatever they're going through, whatever diagnosis they have, whatever disability they have, that does not have to define them, and they could still achieve their fullest potential, whatever that may be. And so I think, having Oliver, he inspires me every single day, because the world may be up against him. His disabilities may make the road so much harder. He has such tenacity and determination and willpower to achieve that it just inspires me so much every single day. And like, how could I not give everything that I have every single day and everything that I do, and hopefully make him proud and help him know that he can achieve anything he sets his mind to.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be proud, Tommy. And I tell you what, seeing some of the videos, he's so cute and he laughs and smiles so much. It's like, nothing wrong with me. What are you looking at me for?
That's the truth. And so his diagnosis, it's called Lamb-Shaffer syndrome, and he's one of 500 children in the world with it. And they actually call these children this sunshine babies, because they're always happy. And that is truly how Oliver is. The world to him is perfect. And, he just sees the world as everything is wonderful and beautiful and happy. And I think that's how we should all see the world.
Exactly. Good for you. So Ben, what scares you the most about the race? I mean, apprehension wise, I know you go into things very positive, and obviously now you've got Tommy as your teammate. Is there something that you're not looking forward to?
Probably getting on the plane at the end and flying home. It's such a long way, and I know the legs are going to be pretty trashed, no matter how fast or slow we go. But no, I mean, I really have to say, this time around, I don't have a lot of trepidation. I mean, I do, like I said, remember the previous time, and it does, the event itself, I respect it, right? I mean, I know, just like every Ironman, I go into it, my primary objective is to finish the race. I mean, you have, your primary, your secondary, your tertiary goal, and it might be something like, finish the race, finish in the top 5, win the race, or something like that. But it always starts with finishing. And I think that's kind of how I'm looking at this. I have respect for it. So if you want to call that fear, it's a healthy fear, I guess, of the event, because I know that it's the real deal and it's going to be tough. But I'm really just looking forward to it. I think I've embraced this and this challenge, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. So yeah, I'm not really scared per se, just more of a healthy, respect for the race. And I think what we're doing really also kind of makes me excited, obviously, the fundraising component of this, which I have to admit, partnering up with Tommy, with his sort of reach on the social media side and all of his connections and his positivity, he's already helped generate a lot of funds for this. I mean, we still have a long way to go, and we have, obviously we would like to just kind of raise as much as we possibly can. But with the energy that he's put towards it already, we've been able to do some pretty cool things. So yeah, I'm just excited for it all. And I hopefully Tommy's not, too fearful. So
yeah, and
my wife said,
you go ahead, Tommy.
I was going to say, I think I carried the fear for both of us. This being my first mountain bike race, I don't think there's something about it that doesn't scare me. But if I wasn't afraid of it, I don't think I'd be doing it. I think putting yourself in a position to be afraid of something that you're not sure if you can accomplish. I think that's the only time you really see your full potential. And so I'm excited to get out there and conquer this fear and have been alongside of me to help me, overcome it and to achieve. And I think we put in the time. And so I think every little step of it scares me a little bit, but that's exactly why I'm doing it.
I love it. Ben, is there a time you're going for? I mean, you're in your own category, because what's a good time? Like 26 hours, 24 hours?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I think the stages can vary. I mean, the prologue's super short. It's 20K, it's 12 miles. That thing will be over probably within 40 to 50 minutes, depending on the course and how we perform on the day. So that one doesn't really count, but the other 7 days are, can be pretty lengthy, anywhere from 4 to 7 hours, maybe. So yeah, that sort of like a rough time goal sounds about right. But I wouldn't say that we're too focused on that. Now, I will say that we'd like to beat the other IRONMAN Foundation teams out there. There's a couple other teams that are racing, and actually Matthew Marquardt, who's another professional triathlete, is going to be racing with a partner. And yeah, I think it'd be cool if we could take the sort of IRONMAN Foundation title, if there is such a thing. But beyond that, no, the objective really is just to kind of go out there and do our best each day. And I think if we do that, we'll end up in a really good spot.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to have your doc beat the future doc.
Exactly. And the old pro takes down the new pro. Yeah.
No kidding.
That's right.
No kidding. You that's right. Those guys. Experience is everything. You know what I mean? Oh, I love that. And by the way, everybody, IRONMANFoundation.org. You can go on there and donate to their cause, because their cause is so worthy, especially the bikes for the kids. And Ben, you've been to South Africa so many times and winning that race a couple of times. You just know how far that can go, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different world there, and I think a bike is just such an important part of a child's life, and it just provides such freedom and opportunity, really. So yeah, I think for us to be able to provide, hopefully hundreds of bikes to kids there that don't have them, it really could just lay the foundation for, an incredible pathway for them to do amazing things and just to have fun too, to be a kid and to enjoy life and to be out there on two wheels and to be moving in the wind, moving their body and experiencing, the countryside that they live in. So yeah, I feel like there's really nothing better. It gives me goosebumps right now to think about what we're going to do in here. And hopefully, who knows, maybe one day one of these kids will turn into an Ironman pro that wins, Ironman South Africa 3 times. We'll see.
Yeah, you just never know. I love that. And Tommy, you so many things you've done in your life, even your young life. You're very well accomplished. And I always ask my guests, and I'm thinking if they ask for you, is you've seen parents go through some tough times. What advice would you have to them if they are going through a tough time with their children on the medical side?
Yeah, it can be so challenging. There are so many kids that go through so many hardships. What I would tell them is, even in your darkest moments, try to remain as positive as possible and know that the most important thing that you could do for your child is to love them endlessly, and that your love will surpass any diagnosis, that your love will surpass any pain, any suffering. And the most important thing that we could do is love our children with all of our heart. And sometimes parents, when their children get a diagnosis or an injury or something, they have so much guilt. And I don't think they should have that guilt. Unfortunately, bad things happen. But those bad things can be overcome with love. And so just loving your children and giving them the best that you can, I think, is the most important. And to always remember that their diagnosis doesn't define their potential, as I constantly say on social media, and to never lose hope in what your children can accomplish.
So good. So good. And Ben, being a dad, God, I remember when your kids were born. They're getting so big, it's just crazy. The good thing about life, I talk to people like Ben, Tommy, about their kids, and my grandkids are the same age. So it's like I got kids again to be able to talk about what they're doing in life. So It's so good. Well, Ben, one last thing. You always have had great advice for so many people out there, and we're coming into the season, so to speak, the triathlon season, all this racing. Here we are, February, March. What advice would you give to those athletes now at this time of year?
Well, I mean, I think this time of year is when everyone's laying the foundation, right? I mean, they talk about the winter miles make for summer smiles. And, you're laying that base work, you're getting in the foundation for what will end up being a big season. For a lot of people, that concludes, of course, in Kona in October, like it did for me a lot of the years. Occasionally, I would do something, right after it, like an Xterra World Champs or something when it was in Maui, or I even did Ironman Florida in November, in 2019. But mostly I would finish my season in October, and it's a long one, I mean, if you're going and getting out there in March, April for your first races, it's a long season. So this is a time when you're laying that big foundation, that big base. And I would say, it's not about being heroic. It's about just being consistent and really enjoying the process. Tommy and I talked about this when he was here. And I think in today's world, sometimes you see stuff on social media, and it's a lot of the best stuff that, people put out there. And it's a little bit unrealistic. And I think instead of being performative, it's about just doing the things that are actually not very glamorous, just showing up each day when you don't feel good and putting in the work. And they're not amazing, heroic workouts. They're just consistent, and it really adds up to something great. So I would just say to the people out there, find a way that you can really love the process and love each day, and focus on just being your best and doing the best you can each day, and the results will come.
Well, to both of you, I wish you the best of luck. And Tommy, tell us real quick how people can follow you so they have this here.
Yeah, of course. You can find me on all social media platforms, Dr. Tommy Martin. So Dr. Tommy Martin, pretty much on any social media platform.
And then Ben, the same for you.
Yep, B. Hoffman Racing. I mostly use Instagram, a little bit on Facebook, and I'm not quite as prolific as Tommy, but yeah, I still do the occasional thing, and you will see us posting, of course, more frequently, especially around the race. We'll try to do some recaps and things and update people on our progress when we're down there, and hopefully continue to generate some interest and energy around that fundraising that we're doing.
Oh yeah, I'll help you with that every step of the way. So I can't wait. Well, when do you get there? How many days before the 15th will you get there?
So I got there
Tommy's 10. Yeah, Tommy's flying in, I think, on the 9th, right? You said?
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, with Kelsey's school schedule, we're going to be a little tighter getting in, I think, on the 12th or something like that. So we don't have nearly as much time on the front end. But, I've been there a few times. I feel like I have an understanding of the travel and how to do it well. And yeah, once the gun goes off, man, it won't matter how much or how little I let them. They give everything I got.
Go time there.
Yeah, for races like that, I guess if I could give Tommy any advice, sleep is overrated. It's just the way it is.
I think he already knows that. This guy is high functioning on the least amount of sleep I've ever seen it. So it's pretty incredible.
Well, to both of you, I wish you the best of luck. Stay safe out there. Stay upright. Have the times of your lives. And Tommy, a big kudos to you for doing this and doing it for the Ironman Foundation. And Ben, you've always been a leader in the sport. You're one that I always held in such a high regard. You're a good guy, a good friend. And thank you to both for being on Find Your Finish Line.
Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate being here, man. Yeah, it's good to see your face again, and hopefully we'll see you somewhere on the circuit this year.
Okay, sounds good. And thank you, everybody, for listening to another edition of Find Your Finish Line. And keep in mind, routine, it can be boring, but it builds champions. Do it every day, day in and day out, mile after mile. No matter how boring it is, it'll create you as a champion. Take care, everybody. Aloha.